test flight number dos for Halo Infinite is well on its way, and today I want to see if the PC version is fixed or not, because with the last test flight, the one that only let you play against bots, this one does in fact let you play against other humans at certain times. You can of course also try bots in the meantime. The last version had a lot of issues for a lot of people. I saw people say that they couldn't even get the game to run at 60 FPS a lot of the times with decently good hardware. My hardware is going to be linked below, and I'll also post it here on screen now. So it's a decent PC. Now my CPU isn't necessarily the best for gaming, but it's still a 16 core CPU, RTX 3080, and Halo is a nightmare to do any type of like benchmark stuff on screen. So all you're gonna see is the in-game frame rate counter. That's the only thing I could get to work. None of the other software at all that I normally use was working with Halo Infinite. And the other thing is I can only speak for me and my experiences. If it ran better for you, awesome. If you can't get it to run well, I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do. I'm not exactly one to troubleshoot for you, but I generally found the game to be more than playable. We're only gonna take a look at 4K and 1440p because obviously if it runs well there, it's gonna run well in 1080p. And I just wanna say Halo Infinite is damn fun, but that's enough about that for now. Let's go ahead and get into the footage and the frame rates and talk about what the game is like. First up, we are taking a look at full 4K native resolution on Ultra, as you just saw. This is also one of the maps in the test flight that is like harder to run. Bazaar performs way better. The Bazaar is the name of the map that's a little bit more sand filled, and by a little bit I mean it's all sand and you are at a Bazaar. Here we get 60 plus FPS the entire time, and this is where like I start to get shocked because people were saying that they were struggling to get it to run well in the last test flight, and I'm guessing that they optimized a bunch because I played the last test flight on console. I didn't really have access to it on PC, and I wanted to make sure to have access to it now because this is how I am going to be playing the entirety of the game if it does run well. And as you have been seeing here, we get above 70 and we're in the mid 60s, so pretty good overall. Frankly, you're better off playing in Ultra because playing on high gives you a few more frames. It's just a very minimal performance boost, so I'd rather just play on Ultra, even though I can hardly really tell the difference. I would have to do a really deep dive to be able to tell. So if you are hovering just a little bit under 60, put it on high. The game still looks great and you will have yourself a blast. Let me know in the comments below, by the way, if you guys can spot differences from just watching. I know it's YouTube and the compression is terrible and all that, but I can't really tell even when I'm not watching on YouTube. 4K low, I skip medium because it's still just very incremental performance differences, so I wanted to go to the lowest possible version and just see the performance. And here we get as high as the 90s, we get mid 80s an awful lot, and I don't think that it's worth it because here I can tell a difference in the quality between high and ultra and low. So if you can, play on those higher settings, 60 FPS and 80 to 90 FPS, you can't tell a difference. Now, if we were hitting 120, yes, then you could tell a difference. Then there might be a case for playing on lower settings, but as of now, not really. I say stick to higher settings. Moving on to 1440p, my preferred way to playing here on Ultra, and we get a decent boost, anywhere from 90 to 115 to sometimes 120 FPS depending on what map. In Bazaar, you do get 120 FPS pretty consistently while playing 1440p on Ultra. I'm sure that they're just still not done optimizing everything, so all of this could change. That's another thing that I wanted to mention, that since this is just one of the test flights and so much has changed from the last one to this one, I would also expect more to change from now until the final release in December. So please have patience and let's see how this goes. Next up, we are taking a look at 1440p on the high preset, and this is where you are going to start getting that 120 FPS experience. It does go higher, it does sometimes dip lower, but for the most part it feels completely smooth. In me actually playing, I didn't really notice a difference, so this is totally a preferred way to play for me. The ultra setting brings it a little bit down. It does get to the 90s, so I'd much rather play 1440p on high. If all you care about is 60 FPS, then 4K is an option for you, but since I like my 120 FPS experience, this preset at 1440p is probably where it's at for me. 1440p medium settings gets you a little bit closer to 144 frames per second every once in a while, but it's still close enough to the 120 range where I'd rather just play on high and have a little bit of a visual boost. The game looks good in most of the settings. If you are playing on Xbox Series X and you're used to that, 1440p medium is going to be really darn good. And like I said, it does get above 144 sometimes, but it also hovers quite near 120 a lot of the times as well. So it's up to you to decide how you want to play. But in the beginning of the video, I asked, hey, is the Halo Infinite test flight better? Have they fixed Halo Infinite on PC? And I guess the answer to that is yes, question mark, because I never had the issues that a lot of people seem to have had with the Steam version before. This is the Steam version. And like games like Destiny 2, they don't allow any on-screen displays. That's why you're not seeing any more like traditional benchmarks, because it's been really hard. Luckily, Halo Infinite does have the frame rate counter and it's working smoothly for me. It's a wonderful, fun experience. You got to see some bot gameplay. You got to see some actual online gameplay just because the test flight isn't constantly online. I really hate when they do that, by the way, but it seems like they're making the right steps and taking the correct strides in order to have this be a good version of Halo Infinite on PC. So I'm happy with that. And I said it earlier in the video, but maybe closer to launch, there will be more improvements. I'm almost sure of it. So there we have it for now. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate each and every single one of you. And let me know what you think about Halo Infinite. How is it running on your PC if you have played it on PC? And I'm going to catch you guys very soon. Stay safe out there. Have a good day.